that's a triple play. New episodes, I couldn't wait. Yeah, open your mind at the first gate. Press play, no need to debate. AoA, check me out. Look, plugged in, you can catch the hype. Golden Dawn, how we follow the light. Anime like life, married to it, my wife.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages? Welcome back to the AoA show. I'm your host, as always, Ian, along with boy Isaiah.
Oh, hi, oh.
And today we're talking Jujutsu Kaisen episode 16. Was this just like pure Sakuga or what? The animation was incredible. There's so many things in this show, like I said, that I really love. And I'm so glad that this is a thing. But we're here to talk about it today, break down some of our thoughts, reactions, and predictions going forward for the show. So if you guys like what it is we do, if you like the discussion, make sure you guys are liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and hitting that notification bell if you are new here so you don't miss any future discussions or videos on the AoA show. Make sure you guys are sharing with your friends because the more the merrier, and comment your thoughts down below. The conversation just starts with Isaiah and I, but it doesn't end there. It's up to you guys now to keep that conversation going. Be civil, be kind, but let's talk about it. Let's talk about Jujutsu Kaisen, and make sure you guys are checking out the AoA Reacts channel, which our link will be in the description, and subscribe to that, where you can catch our Jujutsu Kaisen live reactions, among many others, such as Haikyuu, Hunter x Hunter we've been covering, Attack on Titan, Promise Neverland, you name it, it's there, we got it, 7 days a week, baby. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into this discussion. So the first thing that we have to talk about before we highlight Panda, because we know that Panda has risen to the top, though. But I did want to highlight, again, this initial opening scene with Itadori and Todo once again, because now we get a solid confirmation on the fact that Itadori's what he's been doing has really just been him having a lack of control, or not necessarily a lack, but a lag, right? So it's like he's not one with the world, essentially. Like he's not just like melded into reality, into this ether, which is how Todo philosophically describes it when you're seeing these shots of like the plains and the mountains and the trees and all this sorts of thing. But it was fantastic to see this training session / hopefully budding friendship. I mean, I hope Itadori's like boys with him back. I mean, at this point, Todo's like really putting in the effort here, but we'll see what happens. If he's really putting in the effort, but we'll see what happens.
He did almost not kill him.
Yeah, he didn't kill him, or he's not going to try, maybe. I don't know. Or he's going to try, but that's what makes him his friend. It's an anime thing. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, really cool stuff there. Fantastic animation and fight choreography once again. And it's going to be cool to see Itadori use these abilities going into some of the next fights, right? Because one of the things that I was a little bit afraid of, I wasn't afraid in the final analysis because I know that this is anime, and obviously that the protagonist and the antagonist have to be somewhat similar in power level. But I was kind of curious about Mojito in the sense that I was like, okay, this first fight showed how much more Mojito has in the tank, I guess, for like when the next time they meet. It might be a scary proposition because it's like he just scratched the surface of what he could do. He'd learned domain expansion in like a second. He really just got beat because he had the Sukuna's a hard counter, and just because he feels like it, really. So I was kind of scared, but it's going to be cool going forward seeing Itadori kind of flesh out his skills and learn them through all the sorcerers and all that kind of thing moving forward, and how he's going to be able to put up a fight against these people using his own power, not necessarily that of Sukuna's. But curious to know your thoughts, and then we'll get into the rest of the episode, which is Panda.
Yeah, I definitely love everything Awie's got going on here, because even from the gate, like we said, he's clearly not he's not about the mission to kill Itadori because he's Sukuna's vet. Like, he doesn't care about all that nonsense. He's just, unhinged in his own beautiful way, and he's just trying to get. He sees like this potential in Itadori, and like because he's one of those characters that like loves fighting for the art of it, and like so when he sees somebody who's as naturally skilled and near superhuman Olympic all-time star talented as Itadori, he's like, fuck if we're not bringing that shit out for all it's worth. So I think he sees that in him, plus obviously like his raw innate like goodwill. I think they have a very like shonen relationship where it's like they beat the shit out of each other and they're like, nah, we're like, he's cool, like Itadori, like, because I think that's what's gonna happen is ultimately Itadori's gonna get captured, or maybe this event will end or something, and then like the principal or whoever, there are people that are still going to be like out for Itadori's head, and then through this fight or through the future, the ending of this fight or whatever, Aoi's going to vouch for him and be like, no, there's no way that like that man not only is incredibly strong and like totally could get a hold of Sukuna, but like he wouldn't hurt a fly. Like you're after the wrong person. And I think this fight here, this altercation, is what's going to be like the deciding factor of that or how that goes. But yeah, it was pretty cool. I was saying to you off camera, like, when this whole exchange event thing first started, I thought it was going to be like let's go do the objective, and then like we'll fight a little bit on the way, or like, two people get picked off, and then the focus or the camera, like still follows the goal. But it's kind of like everybody has just like grabbed like 2 or 3 people and run off into their own section of the woods, and we're all just fighting each other, and it's like, guys, are we going to do the event at some point? And it's weird because it's like I can't even really complain because everything we've gotten is so fire in terms of like the Sakuga like dripping fights, the character development, and like the backgrounds and stuff of the characters that we've seen. And again, even from the preview for the next episode, like it looks like we're just going to get more of that. And I can't complain because it looks so dope. But I'm like, are we going to do the event at some point? Because like that's still happening. And I could be remembering this wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's like timed, like they have to do it before the end of the day or something, or I don't know. But anyway, I find it interesting that it's like, so few of them actually seem to, I guess, well, to be fair, oh no, because Megami is off with, the closed-eyed nigga.
Kamo? Kamo is the last name?
Yeah, I literally have that's literally why this is here. Yes. Kamo, like, so I guess he's also, so there's like nobody actually like, all right, I'm going to go like do the thing. Which I'm sure, I guess like in the next 2-3 episodes, they'll get into, because I wonder if this isn't like, at first I thought like, oh, okay, it's going to be like rounds almost, right? Where it's like they do this thing with the cursed spirits, and then they go, that they do another, mission or game or whatever. But this might be the only thing, and it might be like, it's just, hey, do this, and then like this is the end of it. So that's why it might be okay that this gets drawn out. I don't know. Obviously, I'm just speculating, sharing my thoughts. But either way, I did think the beginning of that fight, or that fight, was really cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, that it was absolute fire. So, I mean, the rest of the episode really is just the Panda versus Mecha fight, and Panda's pretty awesome. And their character for Mecha's character development and Panda's character backstory were both equally amazing in my personal opinion. First of all, just the fight, animation, etc., was fantastic, but it was really cool to see Panda, I say now, let loose the way he does at the end there, and just how incredibly smart this character is. Like, smarter than for anyone's own good. Like, it just, you'd think it's like, oh, because it's like this animal, whatever. But no, like, has this whole ranking system in his head, knows exactly what's going on in that moment, has incredible battlefield awareness and savviness in that moment. He's very clever. So that was really cool to see. And I just loved Mecha's character design personally. I thought that was awesome. And then obviously Panda's, especially when he transforms. But Mecha's character design was really sweet. I loved his weapons and all that kind of stuff. It gave me this like Genos, vibe, Iron Man, obviously. But it was really crazy to see him in his, I guess, true form, you could call it, as his human self. And man, I just felt terrible about that, honestly, because this was something that he didn't ask for. And that must be tough, to only have to kind of like live vicariously through these puppets that you have, right? Like, that was some sad stuff, and it was crazy to see his character development, because you get this, you get this feeling, you get this dialogue from him which indicates that he's kind of pissed off of the world, and that he gets mad when people that are who he claims to be in these cursed corpses, like Panda, he claims, to just be very flippant about it and not understand the severity of the situation and all that kind of stuff. And it's very sad, and you could see why he is upset about that, for sure. I mean, he's got a rough go at it. He got dealt an interesting hand of cards here, and not the one that most people would want to be dealt, so it was a rough go at it for him, but it was really interesting to see Panda, who seemed to be the perfect matchup against him, not necessarily for fighting, but just for character development in that sense, kind of drag that character development out of him. So that was really interesting stuff. And then obviously Panda's backstory with the 3 things. I don't think I have like a full grip on what was going on, in the sense that, like, I guess he's like, okay, you're not a panda in the sense that you can change your form to accommodate a gorilla or whatever other animal we have, because I don't think they mentioned it. I think he just said that it's a sister, his more shy sister. So I don't know what form that takes. I guess that's going to be hidden until later. But I'm very curious, because it's like, okay, does he basically take these animals, the principal or whatever, take these animals and just like kind of infuse a cursed spirit into them? Or is it like they are already dead, or he creates them? I was a little confused in that part. I don't know if you had any clarity on that, and just your overall thoughts on the fight in the episode.
Yeah, so I think, and again, somebody in comments, correct me if I'm fucking this up, but I believe Yama, like, because we saw in the second episode, his whole thing is imbuing, things with cursed energy to make them, like, living creatures, or like living creatures vicariously through cursed energy, with the weird like thing that Itadori had to fight, and he mentions that like this is sort of like his masterpiece, his crowning achievement, because this is the first one that he's created that is not only imbued with cursed energy, and was made with a cursed technique, but has emotions, right? So a lot of the other things I'm assuming that he's made, and I'm assuming that a sorcerer could do if they have that ability at a base level, is just imbuing it with cursed energy to give it life and basically make it like just want to fight whoever you wanted to fight, but like that's it, right? It's just very surface, like very, that's one note. But Panda's different in the sense that he has a full range of emotions and he feels things and can interact and talk to people, but he looks like a panda. So I don't think it was like he brought had a dead panda body and like imbue. I think that shot of him with the baby panda was like he either was given or stole a baby panda from somewhere and was like, yeah. And like, it has been through various experiments and whatever, because like you said, he imbued it with the gorilla, the panda sees as like his older brother, and then the sister who, we don't know what animal or if it's an animal that's imbued in him. They don't show it. I wonder if it's like some sort of like, if it is an animal, like some sort of bird or something, because I think she has a lot more to do with like sensory abilities, where the gorilla is like a lot more strength. But I don't know. It could just be like something entirely different. But yeah, so I think that's what's going on. I don't think it's like he mummified or puppet, made a puppet. It's a puppet in the sense that like the panda core is like the vessel that houses all these things, but it's not. And like you said, I think this is why he works so well as a matchup against someone like Mecha, because Mecha is in the more traditional sense, a literal puppet, versus Panda, who's like a puppet in the sense of like, but like has the, like lives and exists in the body of like, the puppet body. But yeah, I do love their matchup in more ways than one, because I love how, like you're saying, even with Mecha's, the hand that he's dealt and the circumstances that he had are incredibly shitty, but they've caused him to become incredibly callous and incredibly cynical about the world and people, specifically anything that isn't like a straight regular human being. Which is why, in the beginning of the fight, he sort of like eyes Panda as a lesser being, or like just a puppet, something lesser, which, Panda has the great line at the end of the fight, like the only reason you lost is because you underestimated what I could do. Which is very telling. And that's, I guess, like, that is the point here, is that like Panda, wants Mecha to understand that like, just because of your circumstances, just because of who you are, what you look like, where you come from, do not define who you actually are on the inside, and shouldn't be something that like, demotivates you from trying, or from trying to connect with people or trying to engage with people, understand people, because it's through those understandings of different people and their circumstances that make you stronger and build bonds that are worth protecting and worth fighting for. And he's a fucking panda. Yeah. Like,
for sure. No, I that was one of the biggest takeaways I had in this entire episode, was the line, and I'm paraphrasing here, that Panda has, where he says something along the lines of, just because you have more hardships does not make you more correct, doesn't make you more right. And I thought that really just hit home, because it can be very easy, like I said, for characters like Mecha, to be resentful towards the world and cynical and think that he might be more entitled to have an opinion on something because it's like, oh, well, you haven't lived through it, etc. But that isn't necessarily the case. And sometimes right is right and wrong is wrong. And doesn't matter who you are, sometimes your opinion on that, can be valid. So I think that's interesting. I liked how he kind of gave it to him there. And he's like, just because you are in a worse off circumstance doesn't, necessarily make you correct in any way, shape, or form. I thought that was an interesting lesson learned that Panda spit, and especially coming from Panda, obviously, like I said, perfect matchup in that sense that, Mecha might have been able to kind of brush that off if it came from someone like, I don't know, anyone else really. But the fact that it comes from Panda, I think was really, influential in his potential turnaround, and now he says like, you sure you're gonna be cool with that when you see me? Panda's like, yeah, bro, I'm a panda. You know what I mean? Like that's like, it's cool. Like, you think I care what you look like? Like, it's all good, dude. I don't know. I thought that was really interesting stuff. I thought it was a cool moment in the episode. And, you tend to forget, I guess, or at least I do for a split second sometimes, that it's like, these guys are all on the same side. Although the way they go at each other, makes it not necessarily look like that from time to time.
They're trying to kill each other.
Yeah, they're trying to kill each other,
right now.
but I mean, like, they do play for the same team here, so, they're going to have to come together in some way, shape, or form in order to win this collective fight against these cursed spirits, so,
Well, I think it's interesting that, like, that I was saying at the beginning, we have this whole frame up of, like, hey, all, like, Jujutsu sorcerers, let's have this friendly game of, like, go catch the cursed spirit or whatever, where it's like, clearly there's the actual ulterior motive of the principal sicking these other second-year sorcerers against Itadori, which obviously in turn is going to make them clash with anybody on his team, is sort of like the real goal here, right? Like, it's interesting that it's like, well, guys, let's not forget we're all on the same team. And it's like, well, we're kind of not, because, like, the people there's, like, infighting amongst the people who lead the Jujutsu sorcerers. True. Which is going to cause infighting against people who are under them, right? Yeah. Itadori, Megami, Nobara, and company are obviously more aligned with, like, Gojo and what he's got going on, which obviously with Gojo directly clashing with somebody like the principal, who, is a much more obviously, like, traditional, a much more, no nonsense, like, my way or the highway kind of guy, has these second years, under his belt. And it's like, that's where the source of the problem is. So, like, these guys are, because the second year sorcerers, like, don't really have any beef with Itadori, other than the fact that they were told to kill him. Like, you know what I mean? So I think it's going to be up to Kasumi and, some of the people on the second year team who we can already know aren't, like, super either jazzed up by the idea or really into trying to kill Itadori to begin with, to sort of, like, take a step back, think for themselves for a minute and be like, guys, like, what are we doing? Is this actually worth it? All that good stuff. But I'm excited. I'm excited for the next episode too, because I'm hoping that, like, I think, so we got Maki versus Kasumi, which we saw in the preview, Nobara versus Momo, and I just hope none of these characters get shafted. I really want this to be like, I want this to be on par with the fight we just saw in this last episode. But, like, with all of and I think Mai was even in it, because Momo, because when at the very beginning, when Nobara and Panda are, like, sort of taunting Momo in the tree, and they're like, oh, come down here, and, like, and she's like, oh, she seems really pissed, and Nobara's like you hear Nobara like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking kill Mai, like, she's just this watered down version of Maki. Momo gets offended by it, and she's like, I'll beat this first year, like, into some common sense. I'll show her that Mai's suffered and been through a lot. And so I'm wondering now, we're going to get Mai and maybe even Kasumi's backstories, like how they ended up here. Because, again, like we've said, the from the gate, these last few episodes have kind of established that, like, these second years are, like, they're big and they're bad and they're tough, but, like, you were saying before, like, they are people, and there's got to be the circumstances that put them all here. And so I guess it's a matter of, like, do those circumstances outweigh the current situation for them or not?
Yeah, For sure. Anyway, folks, that is our discussion today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Again, let us know if you did in the comments down below, and let us know what things had a profound impact on you in this episode, where you think this show is going, how you're enjoying it so far. Let us know all those thoughts down below. Like, share, subscribe, the whole nine there, and check out AoA Reacts for the live reaction version of this episode. Big shout out to our patrons, all included, but big special shout out to our acolytes of anime. That is Nathan and that is Stoic. And also, today is what time of recording here? This will go out today, the 30th. You have today and tomorrow to capitalize on this AoA merch for 20% off. How do you do it, you might ask? At checkout, AoA 2021 is the code that you'll want to type in. That discount code will get you 20% off of every single item in the store, every single one. Hoodies, tees, leggings, pillows, blankets, fanny packs, mugs, doesn't matter. Anything there, 20% off, AoA 2021. You have today and tomorrow to do that. And we just added some new merch recently with the introduction of our mascot as well. So this is a great time to capitalize on that. These are the last 2 days that you have to do it. Really mean a lot if you show some support, get some merch. And yeah, am I missing anything else? Question. That's what I'm... And I didn't say it at the beginning of this episode, and I apologize. Can you do me a favor? Can you go into the files there? So for those of you who don't know, sorry, we're still getting used to this ourselves. We're trying to implement us asking a question at the end of each of our discussion episodes. So i.e. Tower of God, Jujutsu Kaisen, and Attack on Titan. If you go to volume D there, and then it should be under comment of the day. There it is. And then JJK. Cool. So we'll ask a question at the end, and it's up to you guys to answer said question, and then give us any comment that you want, so long as it's appropriate, and we can read it on stream, because we will pick a comment randomly from the people who answer the question correctly, and read it on the next episode. So this week's comes from Paul C. Thank you, Paul, for watching the entirety of our discussion last week. Hope you do again this week. Our question was, what kind of women does Itadori like, and Toto, and it was tall with a big booty, he says. Paul C says, I'm glad that you guys are finally remembering names. Now for the names of the Kyoto team. So hopefully we did justice this time, and to be fair, we have our monitors in front. We threw up the names on there to kind of like pan over to real quick if we forget one.
Well, whatever we gotta do, man.
Yeah. It's a lot of names, man, especially when you're covering so many shows at the same time, so many different characters. It's a lot. Tower of God in and of itself, oh my goodness, it's crazy. Korean names, Japanese names, the whole nine. But hopefully we did justice, and hopefully we continue to do justice for you. And thank you so much for commenting and watching the video. But for this week, for anyone who wants to jump in on this and maybe get their comment read on next week's episode of Jujutsu Kaisen, answer me this. How many different forms? No. Give me a better question. What's a good question, Isaiah?
What is the name of Gojo's domain expansion?
Perfect. All right, cool. So answer that correctly and type your comment, and we might just read it next week. But until next time, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you on the flip. Peace.
Peace.
Ninjas and samurais, blazing the kunais. Find me in the leaf of the cloud, screaming out Bankai. We just some ghouls though, who like seeing parts fly.